Welcome to A Year of Career, 52 Practical Answers to Your Questions. I'm Erin Wolfer, and I own and operate Career Advantage and Career Advantage Golf, where I help professionals feel more confident and prepared throughout their job search by helping with things like resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn profiles, mock interviews, really anything job search related. But each week in this podcast, I answer one question from the public. And this week's question is, how do I handle a job search if I don't want my current employer to know that I am looking for a new position? First, I would just like to encourage you to talk to your current employer about the situation more than anything. It can be really tricky and can lead to negative situations if you are not upfront and communicating well with your current employer regarding your desire to apply for other positions or to leave your current position for another company. So sometimes that can be very difficult, and I know that not always people get along really well with their supervisor, but in the end, I think that that person would definitely appreciate knowing that you are looking so they can start preparing. I think that during that conversation, it would be very valuable to talk to your supervisor about why you are considering looking for new positions, because that could lead to maybe a change in your current position or your current environment that actually could change your mind and make you want to stay. So going into that conversation that I recommend that you have, I wouldn't just go in immediately thinking that you're just going to say, I'm looking for new positions, I'm planning to leave as soon as I find something, but instead really take it as an opportunity to talk about your current position, what you like, what you don't like, what you enjoy about the environment and what you don't like as much within the environment, so you can actually have a valuable conversation with your supervisor that, like I said, could lead to maybe some changes within your current position or environment that again will make you want to stay. Now, that may not always be possible. The things that you dislike about your current role or environment may be things that there is absolutely no control over. Maybe, it's the size of the company or the, specific type of work that you're doing, and, changes simply cannot be made. But I think that it's definitely worth the conversation to find out if some adjustments are possible. Then also within that conversation, I think it would be important to mention what you are looking for in a new opportunity or a new environment, because again, there may be possibilities within your own organization or position that you don't even know are out there until you start talking about what it is that you really are looking for. I mean, I've been in that position before where I have talked to my supervisor about wanting a new opportunity, letting that person know that I was looking for different jobs, and he started asking questions about what I wanted to do, and that ended up resulting in new responsibilities in my current role. At certain times it even resulted in an entirely new position where I had completely new responsibilities. So you just never really know what's going to come out of that conversation. So that's the first reason why I recommend having a conversation with your employer to let them know, what you're thinking as far as, your current position and potential future positions. Second, the reason that I recommend having that conversation is you don't want to throw them off guard or completely surprise them one day by walking in and saying, I have another job, I'm leaving in 2 weeks, this is my 2 weeks notice. Because that's really, probably going to shock them. It's going to put the organization in, a difficult situation. And if you've had that conversation with them early on, letting them know that you are looking for opportunities, but you're going to give it your all while you're here and still put forth your best effort, they can start preparing for when and if you do find a new position. So that way, when you come to them and let them know that have secured a new opportunity, then, they're going to be ready for that. They're going to have already thought about, filling your position and what they're going to do once you're gone, and they're going to have already thought probably a little bit about timeline in regards to finding someone new and those sorts of things. So I think that, even if your current supervisor will be upset initially by hearing that you're not happy and that you are looking for new opportunities, we would hope that eventually that person would come around and realize that that certainly is a benefit, that you've let them know, because again, now they can prepare and they're not just going to be, frantically trying to figure things out one day when you come in and put in, potentially 2 weeks notice. So again, I know that can be very difficult, especially if you don't have a great relationship with that person and you assume that they might have a very negative reaction. I know that can be difficult. A lot of people don't like that kind of conflict, but I just cannot reiterate enough how important that is. That was certainly something that my former supervisor and director told me quite often, is that he would much rather know that someone was looking so he could, one, help them potentially, because he was very supportive and, wanted what was best for all of us. But also, like I said earlier, he wanted to see if he could do something within the current situation to help so he could keep, quality talent. So a couple other things to keep in mind is, if you are just passively looking at positions and maybe you haven't actually started applying yet, it might be okay to kind of hold off and not, talk to your supervisor right away if you aren't sure if you really want to apply for something or not. But once you get into that actual application stage, I certainly would have that conversation. If you are just kind of passively looking and you decide that you might want a new position at some time in the future and you're wanting to maybe update your LinkedIn profile, for example, you can turn off the notifications so people in your network don't receive notifications when you make updates to your LinkedIn profile. You certainly could not make it public on your LinkedIn profile, for example, that you are looking for an opportunity. And, it's understandable that, even if you have had a conversation with your employer about looking for new positions, that you don't want to make it public that you are looking for a new position. Maybe you don't want to alert, other colleagues, for example, because you don't want them to worry or be concerned until you actually have secured a new position. So, that is one thing that you can do if you are just kind of passively looking, is to, just don't set your alerts, or to adjust your settings in LinkedIn so your LinkedIn network is not alerted that you have made updates to your profile and or that you are actively seeking a position. Another thing to think about that's related to this question is, sometimes on job applications, you have to include the name of your current supervisor within a form that you have to complete. And sometimes that form will also ask if it is okay for that company to contact your current supervisor. And if you mark no, because you have not talked to your current supervisor about leaving and you don't want them to contact your supervisor to sort of alert your supervisor that you are thinking about leaving and that you have applied for other positions, that can also be a red flag. They probably will be wondering why you do not want your current supervisor called. They will probably assume that you have not talked to your current supervisor about wanting a transition. They may also make some other assumptions, such as you don't have a very good relationship with that person. And so those can all be signs that may make that potential future employer think, I'm not sure if we want to bring this person in and talk to them further, because it seems like something fishy may be going on within their current organization. And that may not be true, but It's just something that, there could be those assumptions if you mark, no, you cannot contact my current supervisor on an application. So again, just something to think about. We went as far in a previous position that I held. Sometimes we would actually ask candidates, how their current supervisor feels about them looking for opportunities or leaving. And if the person said, oh, they don't know that I'm here, again, that was kind of a red flag, because we started to think, well, why hasn't this person contacted their supervisor about this? And if they become one of our employees, are they not going to alert us if they are looking for new opportunities? So that's certainly something else to think about. Another factor that you want to take into consideration is if you are applying for new positions and you are a strong candidate, you likely are going to have interviews. And that means that you're going to need to take off some time for those interviews. So you need to think about how you would manage that if you haven't had a conversation with your current supervisor about looking for positions. So again, that's just another reason why it's so important to be transparent with your current company and to be honest with them about what's going on. So when you are taking time off, they know why, and there's not any situation where you could potentially be caught in a lie or something like that, which is not going to end up well, most likely. So in the end, my biggest recommendation is, as I've said multiple times already, is to talk to your supervisor if at all possible. If for some reason you really feel like you cannot tell that person because of the way you think they're going to react, then if possible, talk to somebody in human resources within your organization and let them know the situation and say, hey, I'm really interested in looking for new opportunities. This is why. I'm a bit hesitant to tell my supervisor because of these reasons. Is there anything that you as HR can do to help me with that conversation? So that's just something else. Seek help if needed. Maybe you could even, seek help with another supervisor in the company and, get their advice so you can go in and be well prepared to have that conversation. So those are the main tips that I have for you today. If you would have further questions or need assistance with any career development or job search topic, you can always reach out to me. My websites are careeradvantageresumes.com and careeradvantagegolf.com. You can also find me on social media at Career Advantage Resumes on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And on Twitter, it's at Advantage Career. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your week.